Good afternoon, and welcome to the National Press Club, the world's leading professional organization for journalists. My name is Myron Belkind, and I'm president of the National Press Club and the host for today's Newsmaker News Conference. Our guest today is a woman of considerable accomplishment and considerable passion, who was honored by First Lady Michelle Obama yesterday at the State Department as one of the distinguished Women of Courage. Our guest, Ruslana, received the Women of Courage Award, and we are so pleased that she could join us today. She has had a major leadership role in the Euromaidan, the mass protests in Kiev, by those who believe that Ukraine should align itself with Europe and not with Russia. Secretary of State John Kerry was supposed to be at the ceremony, but instead he was in Ruslana's home, trying to end the Russian military action there and offering $1 billion in American assistance to Ukraine's fledgling government. Ruslana is not what you think of when you hear the term protest leader. She is a pop music star, a singer, a musician, a composer, a producer, and a choreographer, who is widely popular across Europe and is the top-selling Ukraine artist in the world. She has won literally scores of awards for her music, including the World Music Award and the Eurovision Song Contest. Her recordings have dominated music charts in more than 25 countries. But she is also a patriot and a political activist. She has staged numerous charity concerts to benefit children's hospitals, and she set up a relief fund for flood victims in Western Ukraine in 2008. She supported Ukraine's pro-democratic Orange Revolution in 2004. She served as an outspoken member of the Ukraine's parliament in 2006 and 2007. UNICEF appointed her Ukraine's Goodwill Ambassador, and she combats trafficking in human beings in cooperation with the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. Her song, Not for Sale, has become the anthem of the United Nations anti-trafficking campaign. Ruslana is now known as the voice of the revolution and Kiev's Queen of the Night for her role in the protests that began last November. She has been on the stage in Kiev's Independence Square nearly every night. She did it up until a few days ago when she left for Europe to come to Washington. She's there every night from midnight to dawn, performing for and inspiring the Euromaidan protesters. And she's done that at considerable risk to her safety, given the violence and deaths that have occurred there. Ruslana, we are proud and excited to have you here at the National Press Club. She came to the club a short while ago from the White House, where she met Vice President Biden, and tomorrow she will travel to Capitol Hill to meet members of the House and the Senate. Speaking with Ruslana is Nadia McConnell, founder and president of the U.S.-Ukraine Foundation. Peter Wojciechowski, an interpreter, will be assisting Ruslana as needed, because as you'll see, Ruslana does know and understand English very well. Before I turn the podium over to Ms. McConnell to get things started, a few traditional ground rules. After our speakers' presentations, I will open the floor for Q&A. Questions will be from credentialed media and club members only. When you are recognized, please identify yourself and your organization before asking your question. Ms. McConnell, the podium is yours for the first few minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Belkind, and to the Press Club for hosting this event and for giving me a few minutes to share the stage with our wonderful Ruslana. You've talked about the military assault on Ukraine, and it is most fitting to be here at the Press Club to talk about the fact that this military assault is compounded by the ongoing propaganda and disinformation war that has been conducted by the Kremlin for decades. and intensified by Putin since the beginning of the protest on the Maidan. Unfortunately, his disinformation campaign to discredit the Maidan and the newly formed government of Ukraine distorts the understanding of many as they try to understand the current complex crisis in Ukraine. It is not my place to discuss the whole spectrum of ongoing lies emanating from Mr. Putin and his surrogates. But as a US citizen, I wish to address one as it relates to the Maidan and Ruslana. Mr. Putin has said that the Maidan has been inspired and organized by the West, and mainly the United States. This year, people of Ukrainian heritage all over the world are going to be celebrating the bicentennial of the birth of Taras Shevchenko. And also this year, we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of the unveiling of the monument here in Washington of Taras Shevchenko, which you can find on 22nd and P, Northwest. The Soviet government fiercely fought to build the effort to build this monument. The Soviets have been and continue today, the Russians under Mr. Putin, to be against anything that acknowledges Ukraine in a positive way. If you go to this monument, etched in the granite, it's in Ukrainian, so even Mr. Putin could read it. A quote from one of Shevchenko's poems. "When will Ukraine have its Washington with fair and just laws? And someday it will." In 2014, people from all across Ukraine, from all ethnic backgrounds, of all religions, and from all the regions, and yes, native Russian speakers as well as native Ukrainian speakers, came together on the Maidan. They came to the Maidan calling for the end of the systematic corruption and almost total abuse of power. They came calling for fair and just laws. Many have interpreted this quote from Shevchenko that he is not looking for a person, but for the system of rule of law that Washington personifies. So the Maidan was inspired, Mr. Putin, not by the United States, unless you want to blame George Washington, but the roots were and are Ukrainian, make no mistake about it. Ruslana receives many titles, and perhaps hopefully in the future, she will be known as one of the founders of Ukraine's democratic rule of law government with fair and just laws. And I am just deeply honored to be here with Ruslana. Thank you.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for this meeting with you. It's very important to speak around the world. Of course, I'm absent now. My body just here, my heart on Maidan all the time. So, but it's very important. Sorry for my English sometime, maybe. I try. But for me, very, very important to speak right now with President Putin, even from here. And my first message to him, President Putin, there are a lot of people like me, strong enough to keep peace, to protect Ukraine, our country, to fight for independence, for freedom, for democracy. Don't touch Ukraine, President Putin. Don't give us a lot of pain. A lot of people killed. I stay on Maidan for 3 months. And now, in my opinion, I think it was plan of you, President Putin. A lot of people killed, a lot of pain, violence, aggressive. Please stop. Stop army, stop military process, stop. We're ready for peace dialogue. That's it. I speak Russia. I can speak Russian language right now. Nobody have any problem in Ukraine to speak Russia, to use Russian mass media, watch every day Russia TV channel, something like that. We don't have any problem. I can speak Russia to President Putin right now. Господин президент, президент Путин, это мое обращение к вам лично с большой просьбой оставить Украину в покое. У нас нету проблем. У нас нету проблем с русским языком. У нас нету проблем для людей, которые говорят по-русски. И никогда не было. Люди могут смотреть, использовать русский язык в том объеме, в котором они хотят сами. Это касается Донецкой области, Крыма, Одессы, Днепропетровска, Запорожья, Харькова и любой области страны, где проживают русскоговорящие люди. Я очень прошу, мы хотим мирного диалога, и я очень прошу, чтобы вы остановили любое применение силы, любое применение оружия. Очень много таких людей, как я в Украине, готовых бороться за свою страну. Пожалуйста, оставьте Украину в покое. I use right now Russian language. Never problem. I never problem to speak Russia in Ukraine. That's true. I have another message to Ukrainians. Let's unite. Let's be together. It's our power. Don't give any possibility for Putin's anti-Ukrainian propaganda. Putin's propaganda organized crisis, a lot of conflict between Ukrainians, Russia people, which not exist. It's not true. Putin's propaganda lies. Every day, every moment, every news report is lie. So be together, unite. This is our power. And send all information around the world from everywhere, I mean, different region of Ukraine. Talk to people through. Send pictures, send videos, send message. What's going on in Ukraine exactly? Use your mobile, use your camera, use your any equipment to explain everything about Ukraine. It's about true. Also, I want to use Ukrainian language to talk to my country right now, talk to Ukrainians, to my friends, to people in Ukraine. Я звертаюся до вас, щоб ми зараз як ніколи могли бути об'єднані, щоб як ніколи ми були разом. Це є наша сила. І це те, що ніколи не може побороти пропаганда Путіна. В них є багато джерел, вони можуть організувати брехню по всьому світу, але вони нічого не зроблять, якщо українці будуть разом. І це є наша сила, єдина. Єдність і цілісність України. And also I want to speak with Russian people around the world. I think Russian people is in danger. Because Putin explained, I go to Ukraine to protect Russian people. Okay, for what? There is no problem. We don't have any problem with Russian people. Be careful. If Putin will will protect each country when Russian people leave, it's a big problem around the world. I ask Russian people, stop Putin, stop his anti-human propaganda. Putin is really dangerous man for this bad ideology, bad technology. And also I will use Russian language for these people. Дорогие россияне, никогда не было проблем и никогда не было антироссийских настроений в Украине. Эта пропаганда, она ссорит нас, но мы не должны поддаваться этой пропаганде. Если Путин будет защищать каждую страну такими методами, как он это пытается сделать с Украиной, каждая страна будет иметь проблемы, потому что Путин будет считать необходимым защищать русское население в той или другой стране, создавать этот кризис, которого не существует. Это огромная провокация. Вы должны разбираться в том, где правда, а где ложь. And also, I have a message to journalists, international journalists around the world. Don't do bad things for money, please. Not all information then easily given is true. Let's go to Ukraine. Be there all the time. Organize some press club there and help us explain true every day, every moment. Putin's propaganda lies. People never lies. Thank you very much.
The messages that she said in Russian were similar to the message that she said in English. So we now open the floor to questions. As I said, please identify yourself and your organization, and I'm ready for take the first question. Yes, please. Mm-hmm.
My name is Eugenia Vetchaninova Darfon. I have a question for Ruslana. What kind of message does she have for the Ukrainian military army in Crimea who's been put in blockade by the Russians? And I'll translate it for Ruslana in Ukrainian. Пані Руслана, здравствуйте. Приємно вас бачити тут. Дякуємо за вашу роботу. Дякуємо за ті повідомлення, які ви нам у самі послання передаєте. Яке у вас було би послання для українських вояків у Криму, які зараз відбуваються?
Помагайте мені, ходіть сюди вже. Добре. Ми знаємо, що українські військові тримаються дуже сильно і не піддаються провокаціям. Це була така технологія зробити військову провокацію, але ви можете побачити, що українські військові, чоловіки, тримають нерви в порядку.
We know that the Ukrainian military in the Crimea are holding strong despite the attempts to provoke them to violence. But this was a technology. But they have shown that they have strong nerves and they can demonstrate restraint.
Ukrainians' mentality keep peace all the time. We never use weapons, never. It's not our mentality, we just keep peace. It's also about Ukrainian soldiers in Crimea. Believe me, we understand it's a lot of provocation for that, but we still strong enough. Thank you. Another question?
Yes, please, if you could stand.
Thank you, Sam Husseini with IPA Media. I'm sorry, I didn't catch lady who spoke? What was her name? Nadima, thank you. A question to you. Can you tell us your organization or any affiliated organizations, if you have any funding from the National Endowment for Democracy or any other U.S. group? And Ruslana, I thought it was very touching that you spoke in the different languages. I'm wondering, do you think that it's a positive move that the forces in Kiev have rescinded the anti-Russian law that was passed 10 days? And could this be a stepping stone to
Yeah.
some kind of federalist?
Right. Do you want to?
Чи ви там, пані Надя, почнете першим? Давайте. Потім я другу. Окей?
We're a 501c3 organization. You can go to our website and see all of the various donors and sponsors that we have. And yes, we apply for grants to various foundations and government entities in the United States, in Europe, and elsewhere. But it's all public information. Thank you.
Do you get National Endowment for Democracy funds particularly, or other government funds?
I don't believe we have any government funds as of now.
You don't believe, but you can be sure.
You can call my office, but no, we do not have any government funds as of now. Yes.
Did you want to answer
Yeah, yeah.
anything
Mhm.
else?
Please.
Yes.
It was announced, just information, which a lot of mass media use at the same time, but it's not true. This law not exist. We don't have this law, really. Did not cancel it. It was law about canceled law before to use Russia language and other language in Ukraine, but it's not true. We don't have this law.
You don't have it now?
No, it's not cancelled. It was about law we had before, is law for use any language in Ukraine as a second національний, другий державний,
State law.
yeah,
State language.
as a second state language, yes? So some guys announced that we will cancel this law, but це не було зроблено.
It was not done.
It not was done, okay? It was just announced. Yeah, it's true.
Okay.
But you understand? Yeah. Yeah, it's about propaganda. That is why I spend a lot of time to explain you guys. It's really bad technology to organize some information, disinformation. It's disinformation around the world about Ukraine. That is why I ask a lot of journalists, come Ukraine right now and explain everything true, okay? So about separate region of Ukraine, the best way for east part of Ukraine мати більше ініціативи,
To have more initiative.
to have more initiative right now. Федералізація не є популярна для українців зараз. Federalization process.
The concept of federalization is
Yeah.
not popular among Ukrainians at this
Yeah,
time.
we worry about because it's also a way to separate us. So now we. Are you listening to me? I'm sorry. Sorry for my English. I try to explain you exactly. Now we want to unite all region of Ukraine, be together. This is one thing very popular for Ukrainians right now, to keep whole country, no separate. It's the federalization, як це?
Federalization.
Federalization means for us separate different region, which really dangerous for us right now. It's just idea to people like me. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My name is Cliff Kincaid with Accuracy in Media. The question you just heard seems to come from the perspectives of portraying the Ukrainian protesters as puppets of the United States, funded
Good.
by the U.S.
Yeah.
government,
What is your question, Cliff? Yeah.
funded by George Soros. How do you respond to this kind of propaganda constantly the protesters as foreign puppets.
We have really bad story with some activists. He's my friend Дмитро Булатов. Okay? Його дуже багато катували. Його забрали, викрали його 19 січня і катували.
As you might know, Dmitro Bulatov was kidnapped on January 19, and then he was kept imprisoned for several days in a secret location and was tortured
Його 8 днів катували.
for 8 days running.
Йому вухо відрізали, його пробували розп'яти.
A part of his ear was severed, and they tried to crucify him.
Його 8 днів били.
They were beating him for 8 days.
І він мені особисто розказував, що це було дуже страшно.
He was telling me personally that it was very painful.
Бо це робили спецслужби, він в цьому впевнений.
He's sure that this was done by secret services.
І що вони від нього вимагали? Щоб він признався на камеру, що йому американці дали $50,000.
And what they most of all wanted to get from him is a confession recorded by a TV camera that he had been given money by Americans, $50,000.
Всіх активістів, яких зловили і били, і катували, від них всіх вимагали на камеру визнати, що їм хтось платить з
All
Америки.
those other protesters who had been kidnapped and tortured, all of them were demanded to make a confession that they had been getting money from the United States.
Я думаю, що Путін організовує шоу для всього світу, як Копперфілд. Організовує шоу, якого не існує. Він режисує собі потрібні речі і робить таку пропаганду.
I think Mr. Putin is trying to act like David Copperfield, organizing shows for the whole world to tell things that do not exist.
І з наших людей, і в тому числі мені дуже сильно погрожували. Мені взагалі погрожували мене вбити, якщо я не піду з Майдану.
I too was getting threats, and I was threatened to be killed if I don't leave the protest square.
І дуже багато добрих людей в Україні просто дізналося про це і сховали мене на 2 дні.
And there were enough good people in the country who were able to give me shelter and keep me in hiding for 2 days.
Ми відносимося до цього, що Путін хоче робити свої факти. Тобто його не цікавить, чи це відбуваються реальні події. Він робить події і показує це по мас-медіа.
We can see that Putin is not interested in what the reality is. He wants to create reality and show it through his mass media.
Привозять росіян для того, щоб вони організовували мітинги на сході України, піднімали російський прапор і брали гроші і їхали назад в Росію. Це так звані туристи.
They bring busloads of so-called tourists from Russia who arrive in Ukraine, organize clashes, beatings, and then they get their money and leave immediately.
Тобто інформацію, яку ви дивитеся від України, часом є інформацією, яку організував Путін, якої немає.
In other words, the news that you receive from Ukraine are often events that were staged by Putin and which do not reflect the true reality.
І найкраща була б відповідь Путіну – це є санкції.
The best answer to Mr. Putin would be applying sanctions.
Ми переконані, що йому Крим потрібен для бізнесу, робити гроші.
We are convinced that he wants Crimea in order to make money there, do his business.
Вбивати людей – це не можна робити гроші, щоб вбивати людей. Це не є кращий шлях робити такі брудні гроші.
But that is not sufficient goal in order to organize killings of people. That's dirty money that he will be making there.
Це не добре приходити в чужу країну і організовувати проблему, якої не було і не буде ніколи.
It's bad to go into another country and organize problems there that had not existed there before.
І ви повинні розуміти, що з вами зараз говорить не людина, яка щось чула, а яка була свідком і активним учасником всіх подій.
I want you to understand that the person speaking to you now is not somebody who heard something. It's the person who was in the middle of the events and who was organizing them.
Це є неправда.
So that is all lies.
Людей мільйони стоять по всій Україні. Та чи Америка має стільки грошей платити?
Millions of people take part in protests all across the Ukraine, and America surely does not have enough money to pay them all.
Але путінська пропаганда має дуже погані наслідки. Ви мусите знати, що це є велика небезпека для всього світу.
But Putin's propaganda has very bad consequences for the rest of the world. You have to understand this is a great danger for the world.
І нам негайно треба всім об'єднуватися, щоб зупинити цього монстра.
We all must unite now in order to stop this monstrosity, this monster.
Thank you.
Andrew?
Andrew Craig, I'm editor of the Justice and Integrity Project, freelancer. First, thank you so much for being here. I have two tough questions, so I genuinely appreciate your being here. You spoke of high-tech and propaganda. There are two supposed leaked tapes in the news, and I'd like your reaction. One is the leaked tape of Ambassador Newland, that I'm sure you're familiar with. And the second one is supposedly just out today. It involves the European Union and Estonia. Is that second one accurate? And what's your reaction to both?
Я думаю, що в технологіях пропаганди КГБ нічого нема святого. Вони вигадують дуже погано таких страшилок. Це такі страшилки-чутки.
KGB propaganda has nothing sacred to it. They invent all kinds of rumors which sound terrible.
Наприклад, в Криму вони говорять, що прийдуть бандерівці, фашисти, і вони поставлять всіх на коліна і будуть росіянам відрізати язики.
In the Crimea, they tell people that Banderovites, fascists are going to come and they will kill people and cut off their tongues for speaking Russian.
Що стосується переговорів політиків, ми не можемо тут говорити, як воно було насправді.
I cannot say for sure how things were in conversations between politicians.
Але останнє це повідомлення, що хтось наймав снайперів, мене дуже насторожує, бо це неправда.
But this latest story about somebody allegedly having hired some snipers causes concerns with me. It could not be true.
Я була на сцені, коли снайпери стріляли по людях, і я бачила, як люди помирали, окей?
I was right on the stage when snipers were shooting at people. I saw people fall and die, and so.
Я читала списки людей, які гинули в мене на очах.
I saw the lists of the people. Some of them had died in front of my eyes.
Я завжди співачка, я ніколи на сцені не робила таких речей, в мене був шок.
I am a singer, and this was very new to me. On the stage, I was shocked.
Що говорили снайпери, які дійсно були там, українські снайпери? Вони сказали, що були найомники-снайпери, які стріляли по українцям беззбройним. І вони були шоковані, скільки людей ці найомні снайпери просто поклали за 20 хвилин.
But there is testimony from Ukrainian snipers who were involved and who said that there were some other hired snipers who shot a number of people within like 20 minutes, and they were shocked at that thing happening.
Ми знали, що найомники також працюють і в команді Беркута. Найомники навіть з Чечні, я кажу, як ви впізнали? Кажуть, що є в нас люди, афганці, які впізнали їх особисто, що були на операціях військових і знають особисто, що ці військові були в Чечні.
We knew that
Російські найомники.
Some of those hired guns from Russia were also used by Berkut, the riot police of Ukraine. And some of them had been involved in Chechnya previously, and they actually were recognized by face by some of our Afghan war veterans.
Ми також знаємо, що був снайпер, який стріляв спочатку по протестуючим людям, а потім розвертався і стріляв по Беркуту.
We know there were some snipers who were shooting at the protesters first and then turning the other way and shooting at the riot police officers.
Вся дискредитація, яку пробували зробити путінська КГБ, не знаю, технологія, вона не приживалася, бо це є брехня. Навіть якщо вони включали всі ресурси, це розповсюджувати.
But all previous attempts of the KGB technologies utilized by Putin's propaganda to discredit the protesters, they all have failed in the past, even if they used all their resources.
Все, що Путін пробує зробити, воно йому віддається абсолютно зворотньою реакцією, не таку, яку він очікує.
Everything that Putin is trying to do kicks him back in a totally different way, differently from what he expected.
Зараз люди в Україні готують відповідь Путіну. Якщо ти
Ukrainians are now preparing a response to Putin.
Якщо ти переживаєш про російських людей, російськомовних людей, які живуть в Україні, то ми переживаємо за україномовних людей, які живуть тепер в Росії.
In fact, if he expresses concerns about the rights of Russian-speaking people in Ukraine, we are going to express concern about Ukrainian-speaking people in Russia.
Тобто, якщо Путін має право війти в Україну, розбиратися, що з людьми відбувається з російськомовними в Україні, то ми маємо право піти тепер на Росію.
If Putin thinks he has the right to enter Ukraine to protect their rights, we think we have the right to go into Russia and protect our compatriots' rights.
Але ми будемо йти виключно мирними шляхами, без армії.
But we are going to do this in a peaceful way without the military.
Ми будемо говорити з українцями в Росії, нехай вони піднімаються і роблять якісь речі.
We will be speaking to Ukrainians who live in Russia to call them to rise up and do something.
Ми будемо говорити до росіян, що українці, росіяни мають об'єднуватися проти таких ганебних технологій, які використовує Путін.
We are also going to speak to the Russians in Russia to call them to unite with Ukrainians and act against those technologies, those shameful technologies.
Є дуже хороша приказка народна, і це вона якраз зараз до Путіна відноситься. Що посієш, то й збереш.
There is a good popular saying which totally applies to Putin now. As you sow, you shall mow.
І ще є одна шикарна...
Shall reap. Okay.
Ще є одна так само приказка народна. Ніколи не викопуй іншому яму, бо ти сам в неї завжди попадеш.
Another popular saying, don't dig a pit for another person because you'll be the one getting into that trap.
А для всього світу є міжнародна приказка. Ніколи не роби нікому зло, бо воно до тебе вернеться.
And finally, for the whole world, it's true. The saying is true that if you do evil to someone else, it will come back to you.
Подумайте, яке слово використовує путінська пропаганда? Фашизм, нацизм, екстремізм.
The words that Putin's propaganda utilize are fascism, Nazism, extremism.
Що він робить цим? Він активізує ті течії, яких сьогодні не існує, він їх провокує таким чином.
By doing this, he basically provokes those currents that did not exist to emerge.
От в чому небезпека Путіна, що він продукує і провокує, піднімає небезпечні для всього світу ідеології і речі, які просто розгорнуть величезну війну.
So he provokes and gives new life to bad, dangerous ideologies and trends that can lead the world to a new war.
Жодних натяків на антисемітизм в Україні ніколи не було, не існує.
There is no sign of anti-Semitism in Ukraine and never was.
Ніколи на Майдані ніхто не прибивав портрети Гітлера, окей?
Hitler's portraits were never posted on the Maidan, the protest square.
Але ці картинки вони розповсюджують по світу, що ми вішаємо портрети Гітлера на Майдані. Люди, ну це крейзі.
But they are circulating images with us waving or showing portraits of Hitler. This is totally crazy.
Ну люди ж приїжджають і дивляться, що ніяких портретів немає. Для кого ця брехня?
When people come and look with their own eyes, they see there are no such portraits there. So who is this lie intended for?
Українці вже створили цілі сайти, де вони просто викладають ці ганебні фейки, які вони роблять, підставні картинки, підставну інформацію.
Ukrainians have created several websites now where they collect all those fake reports and images that are generated about them.
Просто в нас не вистачає ресурсів це розказати, тому ми звертаємося сьогодні до всіх впливових мас-медіа тут.
What we are lacking is the resources to tell this story powerfully to the rest of the world, and this is why we are here talking to media professionals about it.
I ask BBC, I ask CNN, let's do right reports, let's do through reports. Go to Ukraine, don't speak with somebody. Let's go to Ukraine, be there all the time and report everything true. I'm just sometimes I'm worried about some reports, even from BBC, even from CNN. Sorry, guys, but sometimes these guys really lie, really lie. It's like propaganda, support Putin and this violence, bloody violence. Come on, guys. Don't do bad things for money, please. Sorry.
Ruslana, can I just ask one question? As you stand here today, knowing what has happened through your rallies that really began to urge people in the Ukraine to align themselves with Europe and not with Russia, and then we've had this crisis evolve, are you optimistic that there can be a peaceful solution?
We have to do everything, keep peace, okay? There is no way, no chance to have the same power as Putin power. We canceled weapons. This is why we believe for Budapest agreement. And I ask, help us, two guarantors, country guarantors, USA, UK, United Kingdom, to help us, of course, with the power, with the military power, with the military arms. But Україна миротворця, як сказати, Україна.
Ukraine is a country that wants peace, and Ukraine has experience in international peacemaking.
So for us, it looks like that. Block any violence, keep peace. That's it. We want peace. Dialogue, meetings, everything, but peace. That's it. Thank you. And I also have just one message about European Union. Allow me to add something, okay? And I go to Brussels every week, and I have a lot of meetings there with the different guys in Europe Parliament. So I'm just worried about one things, but very important. If you will talk about, I will really happy. Зараз є така думка, щоб не підписувати асоціацію з Україною, щоб не злити Путіна.
There exists an opinion that the European Union should not sign an association agreement with Ukraine at this time in order not to irritate Mr. Putin.
Я хочу нагадати європейським політикам, тим, хто зараз має таку думку, що європейці кров пролили за те, щоб бути в європейській сім'ї.
And I want to remind those European politicians who consider those thoughts that Ukrainians have shed their blood in order to become a member of the European family of nations.
Ми дуже просимо напередодні виборів в Європейський Союз не зрадити Україну.
As the elections to the European Union are coming soon, we are asking not to betray Ukraine.
Вибирайте між людським життям і вашими грошима. Чи ви хочете мати гроші від Путіна, чи ви хочете робити хороші речі перед Богом і зберегти життя українцям.
Please choose between the money that can come to you from Putin and saving the lives of people, whether you want to get that money or whether you want to remain clean before the God.
Європа має підтримати питання санкцій, не боятися, інакше ця агресія і ця пропаганда, і цей весь фашизм зі всіма цими ідеологіями вдарить по всім, по Прибалтиці, по Швеції, по Німеччині.
Europe must have no fear and support sanctions because otherwise all this aggression, all this fascism narrative will hit the rest of the world, will hit Europe, will hit Sweden, the Baltics and other countries.
І всім країнам треба об'єднатися, щоб заблокувати будь-яку агресію і агресивні технології Путіна.
All countries must unite in order to put a block to any aggression from Putin.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we have time for a few more. If you just, okay, I guess we have time for several more. Go ahead. We have 10 more minutes, so go ahead.
My name is Lester Johnson. I'm from WAI. I see that your remarks are truly from your heart. Exactly. It's nice to see. My question is, what is your vision 5 years from now for the Ukraine, if you had the power to make it whatever? What would the relationship be with Europe? What would the relationship be with Russia? What, anything else?
Thank you. Thank you for this question. Зараз ми будемо мати 3 місяці передвиборчої кампанії.
We are entering a period of 3 months before the elections.
І це те, що Путін не хоче почекати. Я хочу попросити Путіна, щоб він 3 місяці почекав, коли все сформується добре в Україні.
And this is something that Putin doesn't want to give us time for. I want to ask Putin to wait for those 3 months to let us put things to normal.
І тоді говорити, хто в Україні є легітимний, які вибори були демократичні. От зараз, через 3 місяці, він побачить український вибір.
And then we will talk about who is legitimate and what were the fair elections. 3 months from now, he will see the Ukrainian choice.
Ці 3 місяці зроблять найбільше зараз змін в Україні.
The next 3 months will produce the biggest amount of change for Ukraine.
Я звертаюсь до всіх інститутів, хто займається допомогою демократичних процесів в державі, щоб вони надавали зараз якомога більше допомоги Україні.
And I am speaking to all those organizations and institutions that provide support for democracy. I ask for maximum support for Ukraine over these 3 months.
Майдан зробив людей настільки політично свідомих, що люди зараз будуть боротися за демократію, за прозорість, проти корупції.
Maidan has strongly increased political conscience of Ukrainians, and they are going to fight very actively for democracy and against corruption.
Це час, коли українська стара політика має відійти, бо вона має поганий негативний імідж.
This is the time when old politics in Ukraine must go away because it keeps a lot of negativity with it.
Це час створення нових політичних брендів, партій і нових облич.
This is the time to create new political brands, to bring up new faces and new ideas.
Українцям потрібно зараз спокій і довіра до політики.
What Ukrainians need now is a period of calm and trust to politicians.
За 5 років ми сподіваємося, що ми в першу чергу будемо сильною і незалежною країною.
5 years from now, my hope is that we will be a strong and independent country.
І все, що ми маємо зараз робити, найбільша стратегія, щоб наша країна була разом.
And we must do everything. That's the foremost goal of our strategy is to keep the country together.
І це завдання політиків так побудувати все, щоб не було ніяких конфліктів, окей, треба Путіна забрати, тоді буде все добре з Росією.
This is the task of the politicians to do everything to avoid conflicts and disparity. And if they take Putin away, then everything will be fine with Russia as well.
Мені думається, що Путін вже змучений, йому треба на пенсію вже трохи.
I think Putin is tired, exhausted. He should retire.
Думаю, вже має багато грошей, може вже робити просто бізнес і не робити болі нікому.
He now has a lot of money. He simply can go into business and not make anybody feel pain.
Ми дуже хочемо, щоб Крим залишився в складі країни. Це недопустимо віддати Крим, недопустимо.
We certainly want the Crimea to remain a part of Ukraine. It's inadmissible to let it be taken away.
Thank you.
Yes, Charles.
Charles Hill, press club member and independent journalist. Even without Putin, Russia has military installations in Crimea. If those installations remain, can there be stability in
Good question. Thank you. Взагалі, те, що Путін зробив, це є така велика провокація до міжнародної безпеки.
What Putin has done in the Crimea is a great provocation against international security.
Це дуже непрофесійно посилатися на думку якихось експертів, які говорять, що Україна зараз це вже нова держава, і тому я не визнаю Будапештський договір.
It is totally unprofessional to make reference to opinions of some experts claiming that because Ukraine now is a different state, the Budapest agreements are no longer valid.
Цей поганий приклад показувати, що я можу відмовлятися від своїх домовленостей.
It's a bad example to show that one can refuse from previous agreements and promises.
Це показує, що Путін поганий партнер, що з ним дуже важко домовлятись.
This shows that Mr. Putin is a bad partner with whom it's hard to come to agreement.
І я думаю, що НАТО має переглянути серйозну позицію щодо Криму.
I think NATO should strongly re-examine its position on the Crimea.
Також я би переглянула позиції північних країн щодо свого нейтралітету в Європі.
I would also suggest that northern countries re-examine their position on neutrality in Europe.
Нейтралітет нікому не дає безпеки.
Neutrality is not a guarantee of security for anyone.
Бо коли буде проблема в цих країнах, якщо там живе багато росіян і Путін туди прийде, то дуже погано, якщо інші займуть нейтралітет по відношенню до цих проблем.
Because if those neutral countries with all those many Russians who live there suddenly get into trouble if Putin goes there to defend them, then it'll be bad if others become neutral to their plight.
Наприклад, я звертаюся зараз до Швеції конкретно.
Specifically, I'm speaking to Sweden at this moment.
Багато з провокаційних аналітичних статей політологів, агентів Кремля пишуть про якісь фашистсько-націоналістичні організації, які будуть їхати тепер в Україну.
For instance, there are many articles written by provocateurs among political analysts who work for the Kremlin, who write articles saying that many Nazi agents are now going to move to Ukraine.
Чи Швеція задоволена, що вона буде асоціюватися тепер з появою таких організацій, які взагалі є в Швеції, про що ми не знали до цього?
I wonder if Sweden is going to like that it's going to be associated in that context with those right-wing organizations. Perhaps they didn't even know that such organizations existed there.
Швеція вже має проблеми з безпекою, якщо Путін піднімає такі питання по відношенню до Швеції.
If Putin is raising such issues in regard to Sweden, that means Sweden already has problems with its security.
І знаєте, чому я це говорю? Я була тільки що в Стокгольмі.
The reason why I'm saying this is because I just came here from Stockholm.
Я їжджу довкола світу, щоб розуміти самі, не переказувати чиюсь думку, а сама бачити ці речі.
And I travel from one country to another in order to see these things for myself with my own eyes.
That's it. Чи ми відповіли на питання, так?
Did we answer your question?
Okay. We're running out of time.
No, I'm ready.
Are you ready for a
Yeah.
couple more? Okay.
It's very important.
Because
It's
I have a very important final request, but we'll take a few more questions. She's used to going from midnight to dawn. So in this case, we started at 3 o'clock. I guess we can go till midnight, but let's go.
No problem. Yeah.
Please make your questions short, and then we can deal with them. And then we have I know what's in my head, what I hope she will finish with a great finale, but we need to allow a few minutes for that. Okay, you, and then let's do yourself. Mm-hmm.
I'm Joe Sparks. I'm a club member and freelance journalist.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
What motivated you to get involved in the politics?
Що підштовхнуло вас в політику? Яка мотивація?
I'm really singer. I don't like political level. It's not my task. I am activist. I'm protester, peace protester from Maidan. That's it. But I see a lot of really bad things for these 3 months. And now I can sing, I can make music because Ukraine is in danger. So that is why I spent all my time to do this thing, to keep peace, and it's best example to the people around the world, unite and to do the same thing. That's it. So я не люблю політику, як сказати. I don't
like politics.
I don't like politics. Sorry.
Yes, please.
Chloe Summers, CNN. Wanted to know, very political issues you're bringing up, but you want to reach to the average American, why should they care? Why, should they have, people don't have ties with Ukraine, not many have relatives. Why should they care, and what, do you see CNN do that you think is wrong?
Чи на вашу думку CNN правильно це робить, доносить цю інформацію до широкого загалу американців?
Я дуже переживаю. I'm just worried about some report from CNN like a few days ago. The report was, we talk from Crimea. There is few soldiers here, and they do nothing. So I'm really worried about. Come on, it's just about this thing. I understand that you guys, mass media, try to show two different meaning. Yes, from one side and from another side. Yes, it looks like everybody can. Всі мають мати можливість висловити протилежну думку. Okay.
Every side must have an opportunity to express their position, their viewpoint.
I understand it, and of course, I respect it. Але хто буде відповідати за те, коли пролється в Україні кров, багато крові, якщо пролється, чи будуть тоді журналісти говорити одні, так, це добре, що пролилась кров, а інші кажуть, ні, це погано, що пролилась кров.
But if the day comes when bloodshed takes place, then are journalists going to report the views, like one side saying this is a good thing that blood was shed, and the other side will say this is a bad thing?
Чи буде це виправдання для журналістів, що Путін знайшов якісь виправдання, чому пролилася кров?
Will that be a justification for journalists if Putin finds some explanation why there was bloodshed?
Я звертаюсь до вас тільки зараз, до журналістів, з проханням вникнути і розібратися у проблемі, а не брати інформацію, тому що вона легко лежить на поверхні.
What I'm asking journalists to do right now is to be more thoughtful about the information you receive and not report it just because it was easily accessible.
Це велика проблема, коли в людей з'являється недовіра до джерела інформації.
If people lose trust in their source of information, it's a big problem.
Наприклад, I can see, for example, I can see this, there is camera Reuters. Are you from Reuters? Yes? Thank you. I work with the Reuters guy all the time in Maidan. And this guy was beaten many times. But the report was amazing. Він ризикував життям, він був побитий, але він завжди говорив правду.
The Reuters reporter in Kiev was beaten many times. He was risking his life, but he was always telling the truth.
І його побили ще 30 листопада, і він постійно потім допомагав мені давати відео. Весь час. Він ніколи не пішов з Майдану.
He was beaten the first time on November the 30th, and he continued helping me produce the video, and he never left the square.
This is the best example. Go to Ukraine and do everything themselves. Don't believe for some source or some journalist there or some, Це просто їхати і самому все там робити. Найкраще.
You just need to go there and observe, be a first-hand observer.
Журналіст бере величезну відповідальність за ту інформацію, яку він говорить.
A journalist takes a great responsibility, a huge responsibility for the information that they pronounce.
Тобто легковажність, якщо журналіст бере з невідомого джерела інформацію, це велика проблема сьогодні.
It's irresponsible if you just report from sources which are not trustworthy.
Отже, тільки не робіть погані речі за гроші і їдьте самі робіть репортажі безпосередньо на місці події.
So two things. Number one, don't do bad things for money, and number two, try to go and observe yourselves, go there and then report.
Чи я відповіла?
The average American, why they should care, why.
То останнє, як ви скажете простим американцям, які не мають родичів в Україні, чому вся це для них важлива?
Тому що коли Путін відкриває страшні технології, це є технології проти всього людства.
The bad technologies that Putin uses are aimed against the whole humanity.
Якщо немає конфлікту між народами, а він його провокує, це є проблема для всіх.
If there is no conflict between two nations and he provokes such a conflict, it's a problem for the whole world.
Якщо людина робить кризу завдяки дезінформації і страшній пропаганді, Це є проблема для всього світу.
If one generates a crisis by means of telling lies and targeted propaganda, it's a problem of the whole world.
І я би на місці журналістів світу оголосила би бойкот тим мас-медіа росіянам, які зробили ганебні репортажі.
And if I were a journalist, I would organize a boycott to those news information agencies from Russia who organized all this.
І до всіх людей, які дивляться ці російські мас-медіа, якщо ви бачите, що це є пропаганда, якщо ви знаєте, що вони брешуть, перестаньте їх дивитися, зробіть бойкот, зробіть флешмоб.
The same I'm saying to all viewers and listeners. If you can see that an agency is telling lies, do a boycott, organize a flash mob, stop listening to them.
Now I can see the new technology. It's about human energy for to send information. It's about social media movement. When people use any equipment and send the true information exactly from this place. So, thank you.
Okay, one question, and then I get to ask a final request of Ruslana. Yes, please.
Andrea Chalupa, independent journalist. I've written about Ukraine for Time, Atlantic, Daily Beast. Which activists inside Russia, like specific individuals and organizations, do you think stand a chance of spreading Maidan, global Maidan, to Russia? And are you in touch with them? Have you sent you messages of hope?
Мають можливість розповсюдити Майдан в Росію.
I'm happy about Echo Moskvy. This is independent radio station. Echo Moskvy.
The Echo of Moscow.
Echo
that's a
Moscow.
radio station and independent.
I'm happy about Dozhd, independent TV, Dozhd, called Dozhd, Rain.
Rain.
Also happy about some guys, even who work with Putin, Andrei Illarionov. Цей колишній радник Путіна, він багато дав корисних речей.
Andrei Larionov is a former advisor to Mr. Putin, and he was able to express a lot of very useful ideas.
Дуже багато мітингів було в Росії. Просто ніхто вам цього не показав. Мітинги були росіян на підтримку Майдану.
And again, there were quite a lot of rallies in Russia by the Russian people in support of Maidan, but nobody showed that to you.
Тобто, журналісти, якщо ви говорите, що ви хочете дійсно мати об'єктивні репорти, то їдьте і в Росію і знімайте ці мітинги.
And again, journalists, if you want to have true information, go to Russia and take pictures of those events.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank. Yes. No. I'd like, first of all, to thank Herb Peroni, who's the chair of the Newsmakers Committee, for organizing today's very special Newsmaker. Herb, I'm very appreciative. And lastly, I have two eyes. Herb has another two. Sir, the blue behind the camera, Herb says, you've been trying to ask a question, and I don't want to finish without giving you the opportunity to ask a question.
I'm also with CNN. I'm following up on Chloe's question.
Sure.
You mentioned CNN was not accurate in some of its reporting, and the BBC. I know both these organizations have many people, many resources in the area. What specifically did you see that was inaccurate, and what correction would you make?
Можливо, не було достатньо ресурсів, але що конкретно поясніть було?
Була проблема, що ви іноді опираєтесь на думку людей, які є відверто агентами Путіна.
The problem I see that you sometimes were basing your report on the opinion of individuals who are open agents for Putin.
Проблема, що ви дали за допомогою цих людей брехливу інформацію.
Which means that if these people feed lies into you, you become their mouthpiece.
Сказали, що немає військ в Криму, а вони не тільки були, а їх було вже 16 тисяч на той момент, а вони ще й колоною вже йшли на Запоріжжя.
Those people were saying that there are no Russian troops in the Crimea, but in fact there were already 16,000 servicemen, and moreover they already had a column moving towards Zaporizhia, which is outside the Crimea at that moment.
I gave really right thing. Did really right thing. I gave my mobile to everybody in Ukraine +3067 672 6724, and everybody send an SMS with information every moment. And I know really true information from every region from Ukraine. So, я знаю, які речі там відбуваються за допомогою людей. Але коли я дивлюся, що в мас-медіа впливових протилежні репортажі, що не відповідають дійсності, я тому і хвилююсь.
I know from many of people, my personal informers, what exactly is happening all across Ukraine. And when I see that Western media reports something of the opposite kind, then that makes me worried.
That is why I ask you again and again, go to Ukraine, report everything from exactly there, and work with right guys. Just talk to people, not with some hand, not so.
Don't speak to somebody's paid agents.
Просто перевіряйте інформаторів.
Check who your sources are.
Тому що КГБ, дуже має велику інфраструктуру, окей?
KGB has a very powerful infrastructure.
Це щоб не були впливові мас-медіа інструментом Путіна.
We don't want influential major media outlets to become mouthpieces for Putin.
І, будь ласка, показуйте російську сторону, що в Росії відбувається, в тому числі.
And also please pay
По відношенню
attention
до України.
to what's happening inside Russia in regard to Ukraine.
Ruslana, we thank you for being our guest today at this Newsmaker. I do thank all the media. I was, for 40 years, a foreign correspondent for AP, and I know it is extremely difficult to cover stories like this. And I know as she makes her comments about urging people to use good sources, I think, I don't want to speak for you, but I think you're in effect, you are respecting all the hard work that the media is doing. Ruslana, I did some research, and I also mentioned to you that we often have cultural artists come to the National Press Club. We had Billy Joel come, and he concluded his presentation by playing a piano piece. I don't know if it was the Piano Man. And I know there's a tradition whenever you finish your rallies on the Maidan that you also perform. And in the keeping of our tradition at the Press Club, when we have a cultural artist, could I have your permission to ask you to perform as you do on the Maidan when you finish your long rallies?
Okay. Thank you. Okay, будемо так тримати. Our hymn for us now, it's like protect from Berkut, from snipers, from violence. And we sing our national hymn just to feel exactly freedom, independence. Just very easy, but very important things for everybody, you know. Ще не мерла України ні слава, ні воля. Ще нам, браття українці, усміхнеться доля. Згинуть наші воріженьки, як роса на сонці. Запануєм і ми, браття, у своїй сторонці. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу і покажем, що ми браття козацького роду. Слава Україні! Glory to Ukraine! Thank you very much.
And we have another tradition, is that we thank our guests with a presentation of the traditional National Press Club mug.
Thank
I hope you will use it
National
to
Press
have
Club.
many happy drinks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Let's do like that together. Я буду пити правду з цього горнятку.
I will use this mug to drink the drink of truth.
Yeah.
We are
To drink
adjourned.
the juice, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you, everybody. Very important for us.